Hallo, da bin ich wieder und habe diesmal tatsächlich zwei Gäste dabei. Wir haben es ja schon angekündigt, wir reden heute auch mit einigen unserer Lizenzpartner, die sich Zeit genommen haben, um ein bisschen Einblick zu geben in das, was wir gemeinsam machen werden in der Zukunft, einige Produkte ein bisschen genauer beleuchten werden. Und wir beginnen mit Paradox, das heißt, wir reden über die World of Darkness und sind in der glücklichen Lage, dass wir Outstar zu Gast haben und Huddy zu Gast haben. Und ich werde jetzt ins Englische wechseln, einfach weil die beiden, deren Deutsch nicht ganz so gut ist. Ich habe gerade im Vorgespräch erfahren, dass Huddy ein bisschen Deutsch spricht, aber wir führen das Gespräch, glaube ich, trotzdem lieber auf Englisch, damit Outstar auch sich beteiligen kann. Und ich werde es so machen, dass ich nicht alles simultan oder kurz übersetze, sondern danach ein paar Sachen immer zusammenfasse. Wir werden aber auch eine Übersetzung zusammenfassen, schriftlich, und noch im Laufe des Oktobers auch veröffentlichen zu dem Video, dass eben jeder, der jetzt nicht so gut ist im Englischen, trotzdem mitkriegt, über was wir heute reden. Wenn ihr Fragen habt im Chat, ich habe mein Handy auch hier liegen, das heißt, ich kann immer wieder auch Fragen aufgreifen, nur dass ihr das schon wisst. Well, sorry, ladies, I had to introduce the community to what we're doing here now, but I would like to start with you introducing yourself. So, Outstar, would you like to start? Tell the community who you are.
Sure. Hello, everyone. I am Outstar. I come from Western Poland, so I do know a little bit of German, but just a little bit. And I currently live in Stockholm, Sweden, and I work for Paradox Interactive as the brand community developer for World of Darkness. It's a very huge title, but basically it means that I work as a link in between the community of World of Darkness and the team that works on all the cool stuff that we're doing.
Great, great. Thank you for being here and taking time on the weekend.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
And now you, Huddy, please introduce yourself.
Well, I speak more than just a little bit of German, so if you like, and since Outstar already knows who I am, ich kann mich vorstellen auf Deutsch.
Okay, please.
Ich heiße Huddy oder Huddy von Schland. Ich komme aus Amerika, aber ich wohne hier in Deutschland. Ich bin die Community Ambassador für Paradox Interactive, für Welt der Dunkelheit oder World of Darkness. Ich bin auch YouTuber, Content Creator und Game Master, GM oder Storyteller.
Mhm. Vielen Dank. Thanks a lot. And thank you for being here and taking time on the weekend, which is usually a time where you do other things than hang around in an online convention. So, yeah, we all big World of Darkness fans here, and we know that our community there are a lot of big World of Darkness fans. So we already announced some of the books you're working on in our past streams, but I would like you to talk about the upcoming products you are working on and tell us why we should look forward to them.
Of course. I feel like we should start with the one that is already at least available in English in the PDF, and we're waiting for a physical release, and that is the Sabbat book.
Oh, yes.
And for that one, Huddy, actually, I would love to give you the microphone here, because I know that you've read it the most recently.
Yeah, I think I've read it more than once by now. So the Sabbat book, long awaited in the community for V5. Because lots of stuff has happened throughout the editions, and so now we're finally finding out what's happening with the Sabbat. There's the Camarilla and the Anarchs, but the Sabbat are the scarier vampires, the ones farthest from their humanity. And the World of Darkness made them into like antagonists, like full-on antagonists for V5, which is such a great direction to go in, because they are so other and alien and so hard to connect with as a person playing so far from their humanity. And the book is fantastic. It gives you all of these ways to make NPCs for your games with paths that are so strange and so alien to things that they believe in, how they, live their unlives, as it's called. And I love it. I think it's probably my favorite book to be released so far.
Okay. Well, that's high stakes you're claiming. So Sabbat will definitely only be on a kind of antagonistic level. So there will be no rules for players to pick up any Sabbath role or kind of take it as a whole group basically playing a Sabbath group.
It's actually not that difficult to adapt this book in any possible way you would like to. Of course, V5 system bases very much on the humanity system. So in order to adapt, for example, paths into the game, you would have to create your own convictions based on them. So it is possible to craft any table possible from this book, but we definitely aim more for using this book as the antagonistic book, just because how dark we went in some places when it comes to the Sabbats as a faction portrayal. It's very much of partially a comeback to the vision of Sabbat in the very first edition, where they were still supposed to be this very mystical, dangerous threat, and the darkness lurking in the shadows, basically. So something even darker than the shadows that are around us. And that's exactly what we wanted to bring back, the horror aspect, the Sabbat as the other, and make it a little bit more, even more different from Camarilla, and even more different from those more bad anarchs than previous editions did it. So that's the direction we took it through, and I believe it really gives you a lot of very dark opportunities to use your tables, and the threats that you can throw at your players, and really
it's pretty good.
Okay. Could you give us an example, like an example for this otherness, for this weirdness which Sabbath transports?
I think Huddy would be great at it, because she actually ran a one-shot for me recently where she threw Sabbat our way, and I was very, very, very frightened.
Okay.
Well, sure. I can talk about some of these otherness paths, and specifically I'll talk about one called the Path of the Sun, which is the path for the Thin Bloods, which is my second favorite path. And so the things that they believe in that keep them from turning completely to their beast, turning completely into whites where they have no control over their own actions, they still have their free will, is they believe things like kill other vampires but never consume them, for example. And that's such an other belief. That's such a belief that is so far removed from Anarch or Camarilla, who a lot of their convictions are tied to their humanity, like, never harm the innocent and protect women and children, things like that. So theirs is completely other. So for example, something that some Sabbat can do is they can make ghouls, meaning they can give their blood to other humans and make them into little servants for them. And then at will, if they need it or if they feel like it, they can call the blood back to themselves out of these people wherever they are.
Okay.
And usually these people will end up dying, because especially considering how long they've been a ghoul, they could age quite rapidly and die. Or, just the fact of removing the blood.
That sounds
could end them.
Fascinating and horrible at the same time.
That's the point. And to add to what Outstar said, bringing back the horror, it's important to remember that no sect is a monolith. But the Sabbat are a medieval apocalyptic death cult.
Yes.
So that is everything other, and even in terms of vampires.
Yeah, and you can interpret this, of course, in the various ways as the paths do, but the powers that we give to players as actual mechanics in the game are the powers that storytellers can use for antagonists in order to really scare and really affect the coterie in a very, very brutal way.
Such as when I made Outstar's character forget everything that her character knew, their own name, their own mother, who they are, until they turn them into a shell of whoever they were.
Oh,
it's very painful.
Okay, is there any cure?
Well, yes, another player diablerized that vampire, meaning completely took all of their blood and their soul out of their body. So that cured Outstar's character.
Good.
Yeah.
Good to know. So your character is still unlive and well.
I mean, pretty much traumatized, but yes, you can say considerably well in comparison.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. I mean, I know that for some game masters it might be quite difficult to bring across such a character or such an antagonist. Are there any tips in the book, like to really how to really bring that across? Because playing something alien like that, something very unhuman, might be challenging to a lot of GMs out there.
Yeah, there are not only the actual antagonists that are written there with the stats and with all of their backgrounds in the book, so you can use them, but sometimes you can even stumble upon fragments that actually advise you on how to roleplay them. So with the language of what kind of the sounds they're making and what kind of behaviors, gestures even they have. So Justin, when he was describing these, he really went far in order to portray them in the most easy to imagine way. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds awesome. Actually, I definitely have
it's
to.
Really awesome.
Yeah, I definitely have to have a look, because I played a Sabbath character back in the 90s, and it's like kind of a complete switch again to this kind of very evil, sinister otherness, which I liked back then, and I think I definitely have to have a look. But yeah, since we do not want to only talk about the Sabbath book, there are a few other products which I definitely look forward to, and I think a lot of our community do as well. One is being the Book of Not, and
yes.
I had the original Book of Not, and I really loved it. And what can you tell us about the new edition, the new version, and also especially about the limited edition, which sounds awesome, basically?
Yes, so there are two editions of the Book of Not in production currently. There is a reprint of the Book of Not, which is published by Renegade, that is bound in the fall leather with some nice little additions in the form of a red ribbon, and making it look like a really cool prop that you can use on your table. Because Book of Not can be used either as just a very cool lecture, like an epic poem about history of vampires, which you can read on your own, but it also can be a prop at your table. So you can make your coterie find this Book of Knots and try to study it, and actually, guard it from the others as well, because not all vampires out there are going to be very in favor of you owning and studying this book. Camarilla, for example, at least back in the days, was very much not into nodism and those who study it, and they wanted to shun that idea. And there are probably a lot of kindreds still out there that would not be very much keen to see someone using this book actively. Yeah, it's a really cool prop which you can have at your table. We printed in a very cool quality. And then there's, of course, the deluxe edition of Book of Not, which is also a very awesome prop, which can be used either during LARPs or your personal games as well, but it's way bigger. It takes your whole table, and we actually do not have yet even the full list of things that is going to go into it, because it's going to grow so large. There are things printed on the actual stone in there, and even more very exciting things that are going to basically make it look like an actual artifact, which you find somewhere in a hidden tomb or a magazine or a warehouse, right? And you uncover it from the clutches of some elder, and you start to study it yourself. So it's basically like taken straight from the world of darkness and to your table.
That sounds great, really great. And I know, I already can tell our community that Marcus, our boss, who is already also doing our production, is actually checking at the moment if we can do something like that for the German version, or basically do the same. So I know that there are talks about that, and I know that we want to do it, but with the global production situation, I don't know if we are able to, at least in a reasonable time. But I know that we want to do the Book of Not, and I think what you tell us is, I think every vampire and World of Darkness player wants to have one, because I mean it's at the heart of vampire, and really learning about the history and things like that. Would you like to add something, Huddy?
No, I think Outstar covered it really, really well. I mean, when I first heard about the Book of Nod, the very first thing I thought of was LARPs. LARPs. I can just see it being used in LARPs, and that makes me really excited.
Yeah, that's where we used it a lot.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I just want to add very quickly that it's also a very interesting onboarding material. Back in the days, actually, from what I've heard, the Book of Note was available in Hot Topic stores in the United States. So you would go to a clothing store just to, get some T-shirts, and then you would find this weird vampire Bible sort of a thing lying there, and people would just read it and be fascinated, and they would get on board of World of Darkness this way.
As a teenager in the 2000s, Hot Topic was much more than a clothing store. Okay.
Yeah, well, it's like kind of World of Darkness in the 90s started something like a lifestyle of vampires.
Yes.
And in the end, it's products like that which helped to establish like kind of the affection for vampires as more as a game, and that is something which if we can do something like that with the new version of the Book of Not, that would be great.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend people to experiment with trying to get more people on board Vampire the Masquerade using the Book of Not. Just give them the Book of Not and see what they feel, without telling them anything.
we definitely have to do that and invite them then to our streams and talk with them about like kind of, okay, what got you? Good. There's a third product I want to talk to you about, and that is quite new, and basically I do not have any information about it. I have an idea just because of the title, but it would be great if you could share some light or put some light on it. It's a Second Inquisition.
Yes.
So the Second Inquisition is coming.
Yes, I mean, the Second Inquisition is already there, but they are definitely coming in form of a book that is going to give you more rules about how to use them on a table. Of course, people who have read our official core book already know about the existence of true faith and the existence of Second Inquisition in general, and what do they portray or what they are. Then you get more information if you watch LA by Night Season 5, or if you play Vampire the Masquerade Bloodhunt, which is free, by the way, so everyone can jump in. There is a plenty of Second Inquisition themes used there, and especially if you played Bloodhunt or watched LA by Night, you might even see some very creepy things that Second Inquisition is using against vampires. Mm-hmm. And let's just say that as much as now it's in this very fun area of secrecy, and we don't really know what it is and how it's going to be actually working on the table, Second Inquisition book is definitely going to reveal more secrets about that and show you more about how to use them at your table as, again, antagonists who are very creepy, and as one of the writers for this SI book said, very well working in a synergy with the Sabbat book, because Sabbat can be introduced to your coterie, to your adventure as the antagonists, but they're also very blatant and brutal in their ways, which very often attracts SI's attention. So they are both elements which are great to use together, and no matter which way your coterie is going to go, defeat one threat or the other, there's always going to be this additional threat on the horizon. So we are very much waiting for the SI book, not only to introduce more about SI and the mechanics, but also to uncover some secrets which LA by Night and the Bloodhunt introduced. Okay,
what's the timeline for the book?
It's going to be around February where the book is going to be out.
Okay,
so,
good.
Yeah.
Good. I can also already tell our community that we definitely want to do that in German, and as soon as we have the materials, I think the translation will start, but that is part of our publishing department, so I will not kind of give you any guarantee, but I think that we will definitely start to work on it as soon as possible, because it sounds like a good addition to the Sabbat book, like really kind of hunt your coterie and really put pressure on them from different angles. And
could I add something to it?
Yeah, sure.
As she said, they work well in tandem. So where the Sabbat are also vampires, they're the horror element. The Second Inquisition is almost scarier. I would say scarier than the Sabbat, because they're humans who, a lot of them have abilities that can nullify vampire abilities, and they get to do things like walk around in the day and have access to government, church, huge vast amounts of wealth and power and money that they can use solely to focus on killing you. Whereas the Sabbat is more of just horror, but they don't have like huge amounts of people, of bodies, armies, typically. Anyway,
it's like the well-armed machine you fight against.
Exactly, and the one of the aspects, the technology of SI that is getting more and more improved. One of the examples of that is, of course, the mist, which you can see in Bloodhound, but also that was not big spoilers, but it was featured in LA by Night as well. It's just like how Jason Carl described it. There was a red fog over Griffith Park, which was slowly creeping up, and the vampires were shunning away from it. Why? What exactly it's contains, how exactly it works, maybe we'll find out soon in the books.
Well, anybody paying attention to the Camarilla book, which was released a while ago, is the red fog is mentioned there very, very briefly when talking about what happened in Vienna in 2012. So anyone who was paying attention knew that it was going to come eventually. Like me, who reads the books obsessively.
So you hope for the book. Yes, I could imagine. Outstar, you earlier mentioned Renegade Studios, and for a lot of people in our community know that the whole production situation, or how the books are written for the World of Darkness, is a lot more complex than with other game companies, because there are several companies involved. Could you explain your relationship with Renegade Studios, and maybe also with the other partners, and how that influences kind of which books you do and how you produce them, and what that means for partners like us?
Of course. So we at Paradox Interactive in the World of Darkness team, it's actually a very small team. In the core team, there are 6 people. So we are, as much as we would love to continue working on the main core books, just like, the V5 Vampire the Masquerade, in the future Werewolf the Apocalypse, other splats, or Sabbath book, which we also wrote mainly in-house. We do also work with the main publisher, which is Renegade. Thanks to Renegade, we are able to get our books all around the world, and they are the retail producer. So basically, when they produce something, they can sell it in their store, which is currently US only, but is going to open to other locations soon. So they'll be able to send the books elsewhere. But they are also supplying the local stores with their books. So local stores around you can order the books from Renegade and sell them basically on the shelves, which is great, because then you have the books available for people who might not know about World of Darkness, right? They go into the store and they just see it among D&D and the other books. So then we also, of course, have the translation partners that translate our products and release them in their respective countries. Of course, the books need to be first published and layouted and everything by Renegade. But then the process is usually pretty long. But once it publishes in English, we can send it over to partners and send it and publish it in different languages. So with Renegade, we are able to not only allow the books that we create ourselves to be published and in retail and sent all over the world, but we also get books which are written by the teams at Renegade. So, for example, Second Inquisition is the book which is being made by Renegade, of course, under our supervision, but and with writers that we know. But it's all organized on their side, and it really helps us reducing the workflow within World of Darkness team, so we can work on IP development, which is all of the future stuff that you're going to see kind of soon. We are actually planning some announcements this month during the month of darkness to give you more information about what we're cooking. So,
could you give us a little whiff of what is coming?
I mean, of course, people are very much. I cannot say much just yet, but of course, people are waiting very much to hear what's next. So, what are we working on next, and what's after Vampire as well, because that's something that is also on the table, and we definitely want to talk more about that. So, tune in to Month of Darkness this month, and we will reveal more.
Okay, sounds great. Great, wonderful. Thanks a lot for your time, and I think that was a great introduction to the 3 new books coming, and I look forward to all 3 of them, and also to what is coming after that, and I definitely will have a look at the sinister side of World of Darkness again. And thanks a lot. I wish you a great rest of the weekend, and I hope to talk to you soon, and invite you to another stream of ours, and then we can talk a bit more about the World of Darkness and what is to come.
Thank you so much for inviting us. It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good. Wir wechseln dann jetzt zum nächsten Partner. Das kann 2-3 Minuten. Nein, da ist er schon. Wunderbar. Okay. Wir wechseln jetzt zu Paizo und da haben wir auch einen Gast eingeladen und ich werde es jetzt auch wieder so machen, dass wir einfach uns auf Englisch unterhalten und Ulrich wird morgen im Pathfinder-Panel sicherlich auch das eine oder andere davon aufgreifen. Der wird auch im Chat sein sicherlich und den Panel verfolgen, von daher bin ich mir da sicher. Well, sorry for the short interruption. I had to talk to the community and introduce you. And yeah, would you like to introduce yourself so that people know who I'm talking to?
Hello, my name is Aaron Shanks, and I am the marketing and media manager at Paizo outside of Seattle.
Hello, Aaron. Thank you for being here, and very early in the morning, I have to say. So thanks a lot for getting up early. It was not too much of a problem.
It's my pleasure. I stayed up late last night playing Pathfinder, but I'm here and ready to talk some more about it.
Okay, that's great. That's really great. And I mean, yeah, I assume you were at Gen Con.
Indeed, Gen Con online. Paizo did not attend Gen Con in Indianapolis physically, but we held our own Gen Con online event with 4 days of streaming on Twitch and a big Discord server full of organized play games for 4 days.
That sounds great. And how was the response? I mean, the whole situation, the pandemic situation, is kind of difficult for all us publishers, but and it's sometimes hard, as we see with this online convention, to really get in touch with the community and offer them something which they want to have, this kind of information, but also kind of fun and sharing. So how was your Gen Con experience?
Oh, positive. It's the second time we've done Gen Con online. I think two of the highlights for me, one was, my understanding is the games at organized play, while online, were about 25% of all games played associated with Gen Con. So it was still a very significant part of the Gen Con experience for a lot of people. Our organized play, both Pathfinder and Starfinder, are worldwide and very large, and we're very proud of them and all the work that they do.
Yeah.
And also, this was the first time we invited a lot of community streamers to participate on Twitch and just do some Pathfinder and Starfinder live play. So while in the middle of the day we had staff doing seminars talking about the new products, we also had hours and hours of people playing Pathfinder and Starfinder from Sweden to Australia. It was great to see.
That's great. That sounds really great. And talking about panels, talking about new products, so what can you share from the highlights from your Gen Con panels? Because I know that a lot of people are waiting for the news and what is coming.
Sorry, you cut out a little bit there, but I'll just jump in and say that Eric Mona, our publisher, gave a keynote presentation at the very beginning of the convention on Thursday for an hour, talking about all of our upcoming products. Well, most of our upcoming products. He actually couldn't fit them all into 1 hour. I can definitely summarize the highlights for you today.
That would be great.
And then fill in a few of the blanks. So at the moment, I'll give you the big picture of how Pathfinder is structured, because of course there are separate product lines. We have our rule books, our hardcover rule books, which most of your viewers are going to be familiar with.
Yes.
And those are probably 80% rules, 20% lore at this point. And then we have our setting hardcover, the Lost Omens line, and those are probably 80% lore, 20% rules, more or less. And then we have our Pathfinder Adventure Paths, which are either 3 or 6 volume monthly soft cover, almost magazine-like adventures that take you from level 1 to 20, and might start at first level, might start at 10th level, depending on the length of the adventure, but of course those are a staple for people who enjoy Pathfinder. Then we have our Pathfinder Adventures, what we call our standalone adventures, and those will come out 2 or 3 a year and start at various levels, but will probably last you several nights of gaming, several long days.
Okay.
Shorter than an adventure path, but longer than a one-shot. And so smaller than the adventures are indeed. We've started a new product line called Digital One-Shots that should take you a night or two and come with pre-generated characters and are designed specifically for playing digital play. They're really great for streamers and Twitch streamers or anybody who wants to play on virtual tabletop. And those are relatively new. And then lastly, we have 1 hour or 1 to 2 hour bounties. And those bounties are very simple. You know, you play for an hour, maybe two. You have an encounter. Could be a social encounter, a combat encounter, maybe some of both, maybe some hazards and traps. But that's sort of from the big to the small of what Pathfinder has to offer every year. And so there are over 100 Pathfinder and Starfinder products that we produce every year. So that's the big picture.
Quite a lot. And working in a company who also produces over several hundred products each year, I know what kind of job that is to deal with, and also in communication, like marketing wise, because you have to transport all the information about that and have to focus on each of the single products. So and what I really like about the way you explained the structure is that, like, kind of regardless of how much time you want to spend with Pathfinder, there is a right product for you. And that is quite amazing regarding the whole product structure, because, oh, we only have time for a few hours play. Oh, just take that encounter thing, and oh, we can spend a whole evening. Yeah, let's take the one-shot adventures, and I really like the approach. And since it's so many different products, and I think if Eric Mona could not fit all of them into his panel, I could just imagine how many there were. Could you highlight a few only, please?
Absolutely. I'll add to your analysis that it's also, we know that some people are homebrewers. They have their own Pathfinder game that may or may not have anything to do with our world. So, of course, there are many products that serve homebrewers. And then there are the people who like to play in our world of Golarion, and sort of a spectrum in between. People can take our adventures and adapt them to their own world, or strictly play them right out of the book in the Age of Lost Omens, in our world, our planet of Golarion. So I will start with the Pathfinder rulebooks, because those are the most widely appealing and probably the ones you are most likely to translate. We have recently come out with Pathfinder Secrets of Magic just a few months ago, and that has over, I think, 200 spells, 2 new classes, the popular Magus class that combines physical combat weapons and magic and spell strikes.
Wow,
a popular class that was brought back from first edition.
Yes.
And then the Summoner, and the Summoner summons an Eidolon, which is like a friendly ally, very powerful ally, that can be used to protect you and to engage in combat on your behalf, as well as the Summoner can also cast spells. What's new this year is that they can choose from the 4 different magical traditions. So you can use the primal tradition like a druid, the arcane tradition like a wizard, the occult tradition like a bard, or the divine tradition like cleric. And so all of those are options within the Summoner class. And so that was released.
So they're very flexible in the way to play. Yeah.
Very modular, very flexible. And then in just a few days, on the 13th of October, I believe, is our next release date, and that is when Pathfinder Guns and Gears will be released. It's already started to ship to our subscribers, and subscribers get free PDFs. So if your audience wants to look on the message boards or Reddit or wherever, you'll already start to see spoilers about what that book contains.
Okay.
It is firearms, guns, and gears, clockwork. as well as some highly electrical rules for Stasian. We call it Stasian technology, which is very very Nikola Tesla-like.
Yeah.
So
I have a picture. I don't know if the community, but I imagine, yes, they have a picture in mind.
So it brings a lot of steampunk elements to Pathfinder, if that's what you want. So a lot of these rules, I should take a step back and frame the big picture. We think of the Pathfinder core rulebook, the Game Mastery Guide, the Advanced Player's Guide, and the 3 bestiaries as really the core of standard Pathfinder. Those 6 books are what we would call traditional Pathfinder. And every hardcover we're making now, including Secrets of Magic and Guns and Gears, are recapitulations of the rules. They are expansions. They are often optional. Some people we know don't want to add firearms or guns to their game. Yeah. So and some people very much want to. It is a part of our world of Galarian. Firearms have a place there in particular areas of the world and nations of the world. So it is natural that we wanted to make this book, but people will be able to decide whether or not they want to use it. Maybe they want to use gears, but not guns. So we're very excited about that. That will also bring 2 new classes. The Inventor, which is brand new.
Fitting class. Yeah.
Yes. Maybe somewhat like the 5th edition Artificer, but Artificer specifically, I think, implies that you are manipulating magic, where our Inventor is, in theory, completely technological, but there comes a point where you can't tell the difference. I mean, we all know that. So the Inventor, it will be one of our new classes, and also the Gunslinger, a popular class from 1st edition, brought back to 2nd edition. So, and one of the great things about the Gunslinger is our designers have designed the rules so that you can simply use a crossbow with it rather than firearms, if that's what you would like. So you can keep your
so the class is still so the class is still interesting even if you do not want to use firearms and just pick the class out of and enjoy it like in the 1st edition.
Indeed,
that's great.
And then there's a lot of items and vehicles and a huge amount of rules supplements in Guns and Gears. The 2 newest products that are in the rulebook line that will come out next year in the first 2 quarters are Pathfinder Book of the Dead. Book of the Dead will be a new type of product for us. We're not making any more bestiaries by name. There will be no bestiary 4, but the Book of the Dead will have an undead theme and a lot of undead monsters. Okay. So it will have Game Master content for a lot of new undead monsters, as well as that 20% lore crunch, where we talk about how undead work in our world of Galarian and in the Age of Lost Omens. So there's a lot of setting material, and also for players, how to fight the undead, how to be the undead. There's actually new ancestries and heritages in which you can start to explore being an undead, like a skeleton. The idea is if you're a skeleton, you've had your past wiped away from you. You don't remember the person you were before, except in maybe a little bit of mysterious memory, so that you can start at 1st level as a skeleton. And then there are probably other things that are more like templates, that like a vampire that you might you'll maintain your original character description but add vampire to it. Okay. So that's going to be very interesting. I haven't seen all the design rules myself, but I'm very excited to see it. And there are also rules for controlling undead. Go ahead.
Okay, sounds like a lot of different varieties how to use that book, and I think that is something which I like about these kind of rules options, and I think a lot of people in our community will like that as well, because yeah, it gives them opportunities without kind of, okay, I want to do everything in the book, but this is just one part which I really like, and things like the vampire template or playing an undead, like. I really have to think about that, because playing a skeleton might be one of the weirdest things I've ever done.
Yes. Definitely these newer books will help you explore weird choices, I think. Yeah. That's part of the excitement of Pathfinder and where it's going. Some very unusual creative choices. Pathfinder prides itself in deep character customization, and if you can imagine a concept, we have the rules for it. That's the place we want to live. That's who we want to be for you. Yeah. So unusual backgrounds, unusual ancestries, and unusual classes are part of what Pathfinder is. Let's see, what else can I tell you about Book of the Dead? I believe there's also a small adventure by Jason Bullman, our game design. So it will really have a little of something for everyone. That's really what's exciting about Book of the Dead. And that should be around April or May, I believe. Okay. And then Dark Archive is the book that will come out next Gen Con, next August. Pathfinder Dark Archive will explore the X-Files of the Pathfinder universe, the unusual things, the rare things. It has some lore elements, but it also has some mini adventures for you to explore, and 2 new classes that we are playtesting now: the Psychic and the Thaumaturge. Those you can go to pathfinderplaytest.com today, download the free PDF playtest, and try out those classes. Kick the tires, put them through their paces, try them on for size, and tell us what you think by filling out our surveys. And then we will make them even better and publish them in Pathfinder Dark Archive next August.
That sounds awesome. That's a lot of great rule books coming up, and I think that gives a lot of different kind of choices and opportunities. And one thing which I was asked to ask you about is more on the adventure side. There is a new version or a version of Kingmaker in the works, and I know that a lot of people are really looking forward to that, not only fans from the original version, but also fans from the computer game, and so what can you tell us about Kingmaker?
So we are making the Kingmaker 10th anniversary adventure path set, and it's as large in terms of page count as the launch of Pathfinder 2nd edition was 2 years ago.
You're kidding.
It's huge. It's over 1,000 pages. 10 years ago, we had the Kingmaker Adventure Path, which was very popular because it was a sandbox-style adventure. You could, it had hexes, and you could explore in whatever direction you wanted, rather than a linear adventure. And so that, of course, was very popular. Owlcat Games made a Pathfinder Kingmaker computer game a few years ago, first for PC and Mac, and now for PlayStation and Xbox. And that has been, it was a little bit of a rough start, but by the end of the year, Owlcat had worked very hard to patch a lot of issues, and it was winning awards by the end of the year. Yeah. And we loved it so much that we have taken a lot of the content from the computer game and put it into this 10th anniversary edition of Kingmaker. So the prime book will be the Kingmaker Adventure Path converted into Pathfinder 2nd edition. So it will be the same story, expanded and made up to date for Pathfinder 2nd edition players. And that will be a hardcover. There is also a companion a companion guide, which is a hardcover, which, you know, there's all these wonderful companions that the computer game brought to the adventure and the story.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so the companion guide details all of those companions.
Wow.
There are 2 other hardcover books that are optional with this. I would say those 2 are if you are a Pathfinder 2nd edition enthusiast, those are the 2 books that you want to get. Mm-hmm. But we're also doing some very innovative things, like making a 5e bestiary, so that people who play 5e can purchase the first 2 books and also this 3rd 5e bestiary and play the game in the rules set that they know best. And we're very interested to see if that's a popular choice for people. And it allows people. Yeah, it allows people who play 5e to experience Pathfinder storytelling, and I'm very excited about that. And then we also have a Kingmaker bestiary for Pathfinder 1st edition rules, so that if you want to play it old school with our Pathfinder 1st edition rules set, you can still do that with the bestiary there. You can learn more at kingmakercampaign.com. That's kingmakercampaign.com. That has a list of all the products. There was a crowdfunding campaign on Game on Tabletop, and there were a small handful of exclusives there that won't be available unless you participated in the crowdfunding campaign. But the vast majority of these products will be available at the Paizo store. Paizo.com, and from your favorite local game store, and of course translations into German.
I know that definitely Ulrich and Markus already talked about bringing that into the German market and bring it to the German community. And since a lot of people played the computer game who were not playing Pathfinder before, do you think that the new version actually is something to really bring these computer gamers into the world of Pathfinder and into the rule set? Is it kind of, are there any aspects in the product which help especially new players to get on board?
Well, I know that our design team and our development team very much enjoyed the plot enhancements that the video game brought to the story. The video game improved the story, and I know that they were very interested in bringing those improvements to this anniversary edition. So I think there's a creative conversation going back and forth between the writers and the designers of Pathfinder, the tabletop role-playing game, and Owlcat Games, who make these video games. If you've played the video game, Pathfinder, these are all based on Pathfinder 1st edition, which are some of our most complex rules. So if you've played the Pathfinder Kingmaker video game, you've been exposed to some of those rules and that's complexity. And so you will be more prepared to jump into the Kingmaker 1st edition experience, but the Kingmaker 2nd edition experience will be somewhat new for you. You know, if you're used to playing the video game and you pick up the 2nd edition book, it will be a streamlined, slightly different rules experience, but what you will find is that it still has opportunity for deep character customization, and you should be able to just jump right in even as a beginner. Does that make sense? Yeah, sounds absolutely reasonable, and I completely understand. I mean, I looked into both rule set and I played Pathfinder 1, and if you're already used to the 1st edition rules, it's really like kind of easier to get into the 2nd edition and more kind of structured and streamlined and an easier approach. So I think it would be easy, and sounds great. So we have time for one last highlight, which you really want to kind of share with us, like something which maybe the people are not quite aware of yet, or something kind of which you can share detail on, which has not been shared yet. That would be great. Okay. Sure. Well, I will, before we move on to the next topic, I'll just say that the Kingmaker Anniversary Edition should be available in April. That is the month that we're targeting for release. So look for that.
Great.
Gosh, one more thing. Well, I will talk about, there are so many. I think some of the big news might be Beadle and Grimm is going to take. I'll talk about the Pathfinder Lost Omens line, and that is our setting line. And there is a book that has been delayed for some time called Pathfinder Lost Omens Absalom, City of Lost Omens, and that is a book that will be. I want to say it's over 400 pages now.
Wow.
Of detailing the biggest city in. It's the city at the center of the world. It is our metropolis in Galarian.
Yeah.
And Eric Mona, our publisher, this is his baby. It's delayed. It's late because he wanted to add so much more content to it. So he's really put a lot of his creativity into Absalom, City of Lost Omens, and it's going to be great for anyone who wants an urban campaign. And that's going to be very unusual. We have a lot of maps that will support a huge map set so that you really get a feel of how big the city is with a high level of resolution. And that will be coming out in December, so that's very exciting. And also, Beadle and Grimm, one of our licensed partners, has announced that they're going to make a special edition boxed set. And we don't have a timeline for that quite yet, but if you go to, let me find there, it's beadleandgrimms.com/Pathfinder/Absalom. They have a landing page where you can sign up for a mailing list to find out more about that. Beadle and Grimms is well known for really making premium special edition box sets for other role-playing games. And so we're very excited to see what they can do with the City of Lost Omens.
Great. Well, that was quite impressive. And if I think about that, was only a tiny fraction of what Eric introduced at Gen Con. It's like kind of, okay, I imagine we can talk for hours and continue talking about the products, but thank you for the kind of small view into what is coming and sharing some of the details with us, especially about Kingmaker, but also about the upcoming rulebooks. And also thanks a lot for spending some time on a Saturday with us early morning. And I wish you a great rest of the weekend, and I hope to talk to you soon, and maybe we can invite you to another stream and talk a bit more about the details of what is coming. That would be
Indeed.
Great.
I'd love to talk to you anytime. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks a lot, and yeah, have a great day. Liebe Community, hier geht's jetzt gleich weiter mit dem Hexen-Let's Play. Wenn Inge mir das Kommando dafür gibt, dann kann ich auch... Genau, wir machen eine ganz kurze Pause, aber danach geht es dann gleich weiter mit dem Hexen-Let's Play und Virtual Tabletop Introduction von Hexen. Und da wünsche ich euch ganz viel Spaß bei. Und genau, wir sehen uns spätestens morgen früh wieder. Und wir haben aber noch eine ganze Menge andere Programmpunkte heute. Deswegen, ich wünsche euch weiterhin viel Spaß beim Hexen-Let's Play und später dann beim Fading Suns Let's Play mit Markus. Bis dann!